real enough. Other rappers is delirious. Yeah, it's really that serious. Better holler if you really feeling me. I gotta keep it 100, ayy. If you don't like it, then fuck it, ayy. We gonna win in the end, yeah, we gonna live in abundance. I gotta keep it 100, ayy. If you don't like it, then fuck it, ayy. We gonna win in the end, yeah, we gonna. I gotta keep it 100. We gotta stop all the stunting. You know we coming from nothing. Yo, you talking about money, you bluffing. We gotta do something different. We gotta change how we live in. We gotta do better for women. We gotta do better for children. We gotta listen to victims, whether Jewish or Muslim or Christian. It doesn't matter your religion. You gotta stand against the system, or else you just another villain. How you just sitting there chilling?
Anyway, everybody, this is Eva Grace.
I don't know how long it's been since we wasted time together. Called to see if you were fine when I know we both remember. I'm full of bad decisions, I'll make them all the time. You left me with your riddance, holding on to your goodbye. It hits me all of a sudden, that's the way the night goes. Replaying my mistakes like they have their own slideshow. I try to list the reasons I should forget you, but I cannot hate you. I cannot hate you, and I do the most to try and replace you, but it's getting old, and no, I can't erase you, so I stay at home, cause if I can't be with you, then I'll be alone. It's like you died, I'm dead inside, I hold you tight, staring at the nightstand, wish I never lied. I don't know why I never did you right there, but I'm still your hype man. How can a person make you love yourself and hate yourself at the same damn time? Same damn time. No, how can a person make you find yourself, turn to something else and break your mind? Break your mind. No, all this time I had to color me jaded. The memories call, they get so frustrated. All this time in my head on the pavement, just telling myself to get away from it. It hits me all of a sudden, that's the way the night goes. Replaying my mistakes like they have their own slideshow. I try to list the reasons I should forget you, but I cannot hate you. I cannot hate you, and I do the most to try and replace you, but it's getting old, and no, I can't erase you, so I stay at home, cause if I can't be with you, then I'll be alone. It's like you died, I'm dead inside, I hold you tight, staring at the nightstand, wish I never lied. I don't know why I never did you right there, but I'm still your hype man.
Out there on Spotify and all of the platforms that you get your podcasts. It's me again, Jamar Jabari. Welcome to Jabari VLC Podcast again, and I have another special guest, Eva Grace. And that song that you just heard from her is her new single that just came out in 2022. How are you today, Eva Grace?
I am doing really well. How are you doing?
I'm very well. I have coffee, so coffee makes life so much easier.
That's what a lot of people say, but I try to stay away from caffeine. But I will say I just had a Red Bull yesterday, so.
Oh, wow. Yeah, caffeine can be addictive, so definitely gotta watch on that. A lot of people even know this is a drug. Like, I didn't realize that. A lot of people don't even know that. I had somebody argue with me about that. They was like, it's not a drug. I'm like, yes, it is.
Oh, my God. Just like people think alcohol isn't a drug, but that's a drug, too. Yeah,
and it kills more people than half the drugs that we have,
yeah.
Which is insane.
It's insanity.
But that was kind of dark. But hey, look, it's the truth. Caffeine is a drug and alcohol is a drug, guys. Eva, this song, I hate you. First of all, I love how the name is like a text format.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, that's clever. Because that's literally how people talk nowadays. And I can't even understand them sometimes. It would be easier for them to like literally type that up instead of like actually using English.
Yeah. I just thought it was cuter and shorter, so I just liked to do that. I don't know.
Right. I mean, I noticed a lot of different artists have different ways that they do titles.
Yeah.
Like, at least it's not like metal bands where it's like a whole freaking paragraph or a sentence.
I know.
It's so evil.
It is frustrating though because for smaller artists, Apple Music doesn't let you do the lowercase stuff or any crazy like formatting. Like Apple
Oh, really?
Music just so I have it like all lowercase. That's how I intend it to be. And on Spotify it's like that and YouTube and whatever. But then you go to Apple Music and it's capitalized and it's not how I wanted it to be.
I never even realized that, and that can definitely hinder like artist creativity. I can see
Exactly.
that. Title's important.
And it's frustrating because they let big artists do it. Like, what is the big deal? Why can't someone small decide if it's capitalized or not? It's like, it's silly. I mean, I don't know the real reason, so who knows why, but I don't know.
Wow, yeah. Do you also produce, or because I always wonder how do people get their beats and stuff like that. I like that that instrumental. Did you write that, or you have a connect?
So I have a producer that at least right now, I'm solely working with one producer, and he made that beat. I'm not the type of person that can just buy a beat or hear a beat online and want to use it. Like, at least for me
Right.
personally, it's a very collaborative process, and sometimes I co-produce on my songs, and
Okay.
sometimes it's more the producer's name is Jay Napes. Sometimes it's like this one in particular was like mostly all him. Like, I had some ideas and stuff, but this, he really went off with the production. It's like it's
Yeah.
pretty cool, and we were very inspired by Weathen. I don't know if you're familiar.
Weathen?
Yeah,
What genre is he? Is he?
Weathen is
Him,
like
she?
alternative electronic, I guess.
Okay, got you.
But he produces a lot of cool stuff in the hyperpop space, so we were very inspired by that. And I have some hyperpop influence in some of my songs, so
Mhm.
I'm very inspired by hyperpop.
You know, as a musician, I definitely lose track of how many genres are in the world. So,
The
like,
amount of subgenres, I mean.
right, especially subgenres.
Hmm.
And it's just like there's always something coming out, and I'm just like, wow, this sounds nice. What is this? So you said that so Weekend is the name of the producer that that produces this genre, right? I want to be clear.
Yeah, he produces a lot of different stuff. Like, he's done
Uh-huh.
work with Oliver Tree. You probably know who that is.
Yeah,
Maybe. Okay, yeah. But he's very experimental with his production, so I'm a big fan of Weathen.
yeah, dope. And what was the genre called again? So
Well, I don't really know what he technically identifies with in the genre world.
Uh-huh.
I would call him alternative electronic experimental pop. I don't know.
Look, I understand. The band that I'm involved with is called Light Warriors, and we literally play mad different genres, so it's hard
Okay.
to figure out what genre to put yourself in or put someone on when they're like that talented. I get it.
But that's the beauty of the music space now, is like all the worlds are meshing together, and I mean there's country artists that make like a more hip hop style song, like everything, all the worlds are meshing together, so you could really do whatever you want.
That really excites me too because like there's been such a segregation between different genres, but
Mhm.
now there's like actually bridging and stuff like that, which really excites me about it, knowing like the history. Like you ever watch? Did you see the new Elvis?
I didn't see that.
It was really good. A lot of people thought it wasn't gonna be good. I noticed that's why they haven't watched it. And I was literally like telling people about it. It was like, what? That went on?
Oh,
And I
wow.
was like, yeah, it was because it literally like showed like origins of like where
Mm.
he came from in the church and also like his favorite superhero was Captain Marvel, which is now Shazam. DC's always weird with his names. They always change them. But and he also talked about the black pioneers that helped bring rock and roll up and stuff like that that turned into
Oh, they touch on that in the Elvis movie?
Yeah, they
Oh, that's sick.
a lot of artists that like were before rock and roll time, and a
Mm,
lot of it was really educational musically, and I was totally shocked because I did not think that the director was going to go this route. I was just expecting just a regular biopic,
yeah,
honestly.
that's what I would have. That's what I would have expected too. That's good to know. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that literally everybody that I talked to about it, they have the same response as you. Like, oh, I did
Mm,
that. Everyone just assumed, you know what I mean? And I did too.
yeah.
It was my girlfriend that literally like, she was
Oh,
like, I'm
she
just
saw
gonna
it
buy it.
first.
No, she was just like, just watch it. I'm just gonna buy it. I'm just gonna watch it. And then we watched it. And I was like, oh, okay. Because it wasn't really on my list. I know her mom saw it before, but it wasn't really on my list.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I saw it. It's fucking good. It's really good. But I feel bad for him. It made me feel bad for him, and then it also made me
Oh,
mad that
really?
he like married an underage girl. But then also made me feel bad for him about all the drugs and shit, and this guy that played him, and he was telling him
Mm.
to do all these things. It was very interesting. It was very interesting. Respect.
It's also interesting because you don't know what's exaggerated just to make a good story. Because now I'm
Right.
thinking like who knows what's true? Because with stuff like that, I mean, they always exaggerate a little bit just to make it a better movie. So I'm curious
Right.
what's true. I mean, I'm sure it's all at least loosely based on reality, but that's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I'm pretty sure there's a YouTube analysis somewhere. There's always
Oh,
YouTube
I'm sure
analysis.
there is.
And I'm just like, where do they get this information from? Like Watch Mojo, for instance. I'm just like,
Yeah.
God, like, these guys know too much. But it's their job. They have to know
Yeah.
these things. But it's like, how do they figure all this out? Like, I don't know. I could never do that because I suck at editing myself. So it's like all that. I didn't know how to do that. But all right. So how did you? So we talk about origins because we bring our Elvis and stuff like that. What made you wanted to get into music? Like, what was the spark?
I mean, I've always adored music and I've always been a fan of different like so many different genres and listening and always going to shows growing up and I always played the piano and sang like on my own
Mhm.
time, but I just didn't realize I could pursue it myself until I like uh, got out of high school and then I like learned a few things and then I was like, oh, so this is how like people actually do it in the studio. Like I did a cover song of a Black Bear song. I did a cover of a Black Bear song and I went in the studio to do the whole process and I completely fell in love with the creation like from scratch and I was like, "Oh, wow, like I need to be doing this." So, once I scratched that itch in the studio, I have been like hooked ever since. Like I think music is my drug. Like I'm very hooked. So, at least it's
That's
a
awesome.
healthy drug. So,
Right, right. That's totally awesome. And we talk about this on the podcast all the time. Like, artists are obsessed. The ones that are really, really like doing it.
mhm.
You can see the obsession in them, and that's such a good thing because it's the only way like to like actually like make it happen. You have to have an obsession with what you're doing. Like,
You really do because also you have to like in the song creation process and obviously this isn't the same for everyone, but I would say for a majority of artists you have to hear the song hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times to like perfect it, to change what you want to change, like
right.
to like throughout the mixing process, everything. So then by the time you have to promote it, you could be sick of it, but you need to be that obsessed that you're okay like promoting it and hearing it again and again because it's I don't know, people don't really think about that how like once it's out in the world, like you've already heard it 1,000 times, but you still have to be hype on it to like make TikToks and do all this stuff. So it's a balance.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. I mean, you hear about like uh artists like who's the guy that I can't think of the band that made Creep, for instance. I know this band, Radiohead, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They made this song called "Creep," and they refuse to play it now. I don't know if you knew that because
No
they were so
way.
tired. They weren't the only one. Kurt Cobain's was like that. The Beatles was like that. Certain songs they were just like, we're tired of playing it. And
That's crazy. That's crazy because that's definitely the most mainstream Radiohead song for sure. But see,
yeah,
I can't say I wouldn't do the same thing because I'm not in their position. But I also feel like when you put music into the world, it becomes the audience's music. Like it's a part of them too. And
right.
I'd feel bad if that's like everyone's favorite song, and then you swear off performing it. But they probably performed it thousands of times.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. That's hard.
And then like I guess the fans were like demanding it, and they were like, fuck this, no.
Oh my god.
It's not happening today. Sorry.
I did not know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, Kurt Cobain literally like made a statement about it. Like, it was what was that song? We're all jazz, ain't they jazz? I can't think of the name.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they had like said that he like freaked out one day. It was like, we're not playing this. If you came here to listen to this, go home. Like literally,
Oh my God.
like, just told the fans what it is. So,
Damn.
the guys, rest in peace to Kurt Cobain. I'll drink to that. My little coffee. Great guy. I wish I met him. Love his music. But yeah, I mean, so you said that you mentioned that you learned piano. Is piano the only instrument that you play, or do you play other instruments?
Yeah, that's really the only instrument I truly play. I've always wanted to learn guitar, but as girly as this sounds, like I can't commit to not having long nails long enough to learn guitar. So I've like started a couple times, and I'm like, never mind. So
hey, that's actually like something that, I mean, if anyone's listening to this, like what she just said is facts. I know a lot of female guitarists, and the guitar that they strum with, their nails are like mine. But then the other hand that they don't strum with, they literally are so nice and beautiful and stuff like that. Like they literally dedicate one hand.
yeah, the fingers that are on the frets like all have blisters and calluses and everything. You have to commit to having like permanent calluses to be a really great guitar player. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll stick to having other people play guitar on my songs. That's fine with me.
Yeah, when I was learning guitar, I hated the fact that I got blisters, so I stopped playing just because of that. And my parents.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So what do you play now?
Percussions.
Oh, okay, sick.
Yeah, and then I also rap, but I gotta get back into my percussions. I miss them. I'm taking like a hiatus, but I'll get back to it.
Cool.
How did you? So you mentioned that you fell in love with a lot of genres too. So are any of those? What are those genres? First of all, the genres that you enjoy listening to.
I mean, from a young age, I feel like both of my parents were always blasting music, and they particularly were very into house, like dance music.
Yeah.
My mom more so. So I would always hear house music, and I really like grew up around hearing house. So always loved house, loved pop stuff, and loved like some psychedelic kind of stuff. But always like loved a lot of stuff generally. But I would say that I'm very influenced by what I listened to around like the age of 12 and stuff. Like I love like Madonna's album. I don't know what it's called. I think the album's called Ray of Light. I don't know, but that song by Madonna called Ray of Light. You know that song?
Yeah.
That like era of Madonna, I'm very influenced by. It's like there's like touches of it in my music, and also just like dancier stuff. Like I always want to make people either cry or dance. So I'm working on releasing more crying songs, but a lot of my music is like a mix of both. Like the I Cannot Hate You song, like you can jam to it, but if you really listen, like it's a sad song.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because I noticed that you mentioned drawing emotion. Like that's what I felt listening to I Cannot Hate You. Like I was
good.
Well, I fucks with the instrumental. Then I'm listening. And I listened to it again for a second time. And I'm like, oh shit, wait a minute. And then a third time, I'm like, wait, what's really going on here? So what goes down? It's interesting. It's like you're telling a sad story on the very uppity.
It's really about, because I'm the biggest overthinker. I always look back on stuff. I always think of all the mistakes I made and how I could have
That's
done
dope.
things differently.
Hmm.
And I always feel guilty about things, and I need to like learn to let things go. But this particular song, it's kind of me saying, um, like, no matter how many times I keep looking back at this relationship and keep feeling bad, and I try to dislike you so that I can like get over you, but at the end of the day, like, I can't hate you. Like, you were a part of my life, like you were a part of my heart. Like, I'm never gonna hate you. But I'm like also saying, like, I really feel bad for what I did, and I don't know. So it's like a rage of sadness. Like, when I play the song, it's like I'm angry at myself. That's like the emotion I want to evoke from that.
Mm, mm. Is this also like you cannot hate them as in like you forgive them, but you still remember?
I would say it can be taken anyway. Like, it depends like how I'm feeling in the moment, how I mean it. Truly, like, mostly I mean it. Like, no matter how hard I try to find things to hate about you, I can't. But it
Mm,
also can mean that too, that like I look back on things that this person did, and I'm like, it doesn't even matter. Like, it doesn't matter how you messed up, how you mistreated me. Like, I'm never gonna hate you. I don't have it in me. So
mm, mm. Yeah, man. Like that's deep because a lot of people they be ready to like seek vengeance. Straight up, like I'm gonna get you somehow.
oh my god.
Humans are, you know. Yeah, I mean, so like, so your last album, oh man, I'm sorry, your last album name escaped me.
I
Do you
actually
have?
never released an album, but if you're
Oh, those
referring
are all
to,
EPs.
yeah,
Oh,
all
gotcha.
singles, no EPs.
Oh my god, I'm sorry.
No, you're okay. You're fine.
I must be thinking about something else. Yes, you had all singles, so I would. That's a good thing because that's the question I want to ask you up next about releasing singles. Um, because you know we talk about it all the time on past podcasts and stuff about
Hmm.
is it is it a good idea when you're when you're an artist should you drop albums after albums or should you just hustle with a single from time to time? What do you think about that?
I mean, I think that in this modern age, when people are becoming more so fans of songs rather than artists, it's kind of silly to release an album unless you have a really big fan base.
Mhm.
Uh, just because to build an audience, I mean, an album could definitely do that, but I just feel like releasing a bunch of singles is more the way to go, especially when you're like an up and coming artist. So I would love to release a cohesive project, but I just don't see that happening for the next couple years. So just a lot of singles
Okay,
for now.
yeah, so it's like just make sure you build a buzz and stuff basically.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a good idea too. Some artists think that I'm just gonna keep dropping projects after projects, and it could go either good for them or go even bad for them. And like, but it's like you have all this bulk of music, and you you gotta like, are you gonna remember all that? Like when you get up, or like if you do get a record deal, if you become like really successful independent, are you going to be able to remember all that, or are your fans going to want to listen to that, or want to hear like what you got out now and all your most popular stuff? So really, like, because our band, we drop albums, and they're just now like getting a lot of buzz to it, but it's not a lot of albums. It's only like one or two. I shouldn't even say albums. It's like a few albums, but
And what are you guys
um,
doing to promote? Are you guys on TikTok and stuff?
so they talked about that, but these are people over 30, so it's like a conversation to have. Like, okay, so how does this work? But Eric Rabaska owns a independent label. He's the lead singer, and so he's able to distribute through that. So we're lucky in that way. But I can only imagine for someone that's not lucky in that way, it's probably pretty bad. Like they're just feeling they gotta keep dropping and all that stuff, and it's like I think the single game is the easiest way to like feel like content with trying to like chase what you need to do, because you might freak out if like no one's listening to your whole entire album when you're first coming up and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you can't expect people to be interested if they don't get to know you over time. So like I think that's why the singles game is so important when you're starting out, just because you have to like get that attention for people to care about a full record, because even big artists now, they put out an album, people just click through, listen to the biggest songs. So if they're not caring about a huge artist, then they're definitely not going to care about a smaller artist. So yeah, I mean, that's just the world we're in right now. Just got to ride out with singles.
Short attention spans.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And you know, it's you mentioned how the big artists are like doing like I don't know what happened, but there's a trend now where it's like they're dropping like 2-hour long projects or hour and a half long projects. It's like 20 tracks, 30 tracks.
Why? Who's doing that? The only person I know that, well, at least as of late, it's like Chris Brown. Chris Brown does that, but like who can you think of recently that's been doing
God, it's been a thing for some reason. Lil Wayne did it. Drake has done it multiple times.
Okay, you're not talking about like
Beyonce.
this past year. You mean like in general? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it started to become a thing, and I don't get that. And Adele literally dropped the album like that, and she also took away the skip button, so you gotta listen to everything.
Oh, no way! I didn't know
all the way through. Well, yeah, she's telling the story. Kinsley told me about that, and I looked it up. I was like, wow, this is interesting.
Wait, so on Spotify you can't skip?
Yeah, there's no skip button.
Wow, that's insane. That's,
How the hell did she
good
get
for her.
to do that? Right.
Because she's Adele and she can do whatever she wants. She's amazing. That's crazy though.
So I'm just confused. I'm just like, why is that? Because like, if you're commuting and say your commute is like an hour or 30 minutes, I think it would be really good to like just have like a nice smooth album that people can listen to while they're commuting, like in 30 minutes or so. Like,
yeah.
Or put that on repeat, literally jamming and stuff at work all day and stuff like that. It's just because they don't do they haven't did big LPs like that before. Like usually, it was like 13 tracks at least for regular albums. So I wonder what is the motivation with that? Because I mean, maybe I'm just like I don't have time. If other people have time, maybe I'm just being selfish because it's like I don't have time, but other people probably do have time.
Yeah, I don't know, and I think it's such a generational thing too. Like the younger you are, the less likely you are to listen to a whole album. Because I also think like I don't know, like it's weird. I associate more with like the whole TikTok era. So now I'm like going away from listening to a full record. Like I find myself only doing that if it's like an OG artist that I really respect. But otherwise, like I'm guilty of just clicking around in an album too. So it takes a lot for me to want to really listen to a full record.
Right. And that's hard too to want to like have a no skipper. Like I've known some artists that have done it. In my opinion, like I feel like Doja Cat definitely last album was a no skipper. Not everybody could be like Doja Cat with a no skipper. Have you heard Doja Cat last album? That shit just.
That's funny you mentioned that. I just when it first came out, I listened to the album in full, and then I haven't listened to it in full since then actually. But the other day I was listening to the album, like going through songs, and I was like, oh, like there's not a bad one on here actually.
Yeah, I was so shocked by that. I was like, Jesus, who is she working with?
I mean, she's working with the best, and she's the best. So
right. I mean, yeah, she literally climbed in the charts as a female rapper. A lot of people don't want to consider her a rapper, but I'm like, dude, she raps every time.
I mean, she does everything. She raps, sings. She has amazing vocals. Like, she's fire.
Yeah, I know, and that's what I'm envy. See, Eva, that's my envy with the new age hip hop because I can't do that. I can't rap and sing. If I could sing, oh my god, I wouldn't need half these people that I asked to like do a project.
That's how Drake.
Myself.
Yeah, that's how Drake changed the game.
Yeah,
He was
not
like,
everybody does.
screw a feature. Like, I'm just gonna sing on my own hooks, and now everybody does it. Yeah.
That's freaking dope, man. That's freaking dope. Nicki Minaj too. Oh my god, I just lost my train of thought. This happens sometimes, but it's okay. So my thing is Black Bear. You mentioned how you did a cover for Black Bear. I'm a Black Bear fan as well too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Black Bear is definitely like an interesting person. First of all, I was confused about his name the whole time. Who else do you admire like Black Bear? Like, do you have like who do you think right now is a really really good artist right now that you listen to?
Tame Impala. I always say Tame Impala. I just love Tame Impala so much. Tame Impala and Drake are my top of all time. Everything. So
everything. Oh wow. I mean, Drake has literally passed a lot of records. Maybe I'm a hater. I don't know.
Well, people have differing opinions of Drake. Like, yeah. I don't know. I'm just an OG fan. Like, I just respect the F out of Drake. Like, I just think he's the best. So, why are you kind of a Drake hater a little bit?
I mean, I like his old stuff. It's just that his new stuff is not catching me like it used to be. But I respect the fact that he's such a student of music. Like, I hear about it all the time from like legendary artists from back in the day and throwback artists that talk about, yo, man, like I went to this concert and Drake came up to me all cheesing and shit, like talking about how he loved my music and wants me to hop on the album. Like, he knows everybody, and I respect that. I respect someone like that because that's something that I would do as well too. I mean, I'm like that already. Like, I just get gaga over all of my Connecticut fellow artists and stuff, and treat them like royalty because they're my people and stuff like that. And I want to treat them the way I want to be treated. Like, Jahan Nostra, I love you, man. By the way, like I respect that, and I think that I'm just hating because they're trying to say he's the best rapper when he's more than that. He's like literally like an artist. I don't think he'd be just a rapper.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, no, there's other rappers.
Well, it's so hard because I love the whole debate of like who the top rappers are because there's so many different factors that go into it. Like, number one, obviously, are they a true lyricist? Number two, do they have the tone? Like, does their tone sound cool? Because you can have the best lyrics, but if you don't sound cool, then I mean, it's not really that cool. And then three, is it catchy, hooky, and can withstand the test of time? That's why, for me, I know you don't like it, but I think Drake is the best rapper because, like, you cannot beat Drake's tone. You really cannot. To me, like, if we're just talking lyrics, I feel like J. Cole is amazing. But if we're talking about tone and catchiness and I don't know, like, Drake just wins in every category for me. So
yeah, I would say that he's more melodic than J. Cole, and he uses that to his advantage very sharply. How do you feel about the genre switching up and stuff? Like, everybody's like switching.
See, people were hating on the house. I think it's so cool that he just said, "F it, I'm gonna put out a house album. Who cares?" Like, that is so cool. And
that came out of nowhere.
I know, it was such a surprise, but I did not expect that at all. Like, literally, that was the last thing I thought. But he's beaten records in every category. What's left for him to do? He's like, oh, I want songs that people will play at festivals. DJs will play in the clubs. Like, bet. Okay, cool. Like, beat those records too. Like, I don't know. It's just like he's at the point where he could do whatever. So I think it's cool. How did you feel about it?
I respect it. I mean, I heard it, and then I was like, okay, it's interesting.
Yeah.
And then I heard Beyonce's, and I was like, all right, she's doing something different too. This is what y'all want to do. But I do have some like joints with Drake that I love. I would say, listen, like even though I don't listen to his music as hardcore as I used to,
Uh-huh.
there, even though like I feel like Scorpion was his worst album ever, there are still like songs out of the albums I don't listen to that play on the radio that I'm like, oh okay, that
Yeah.
sounds fire. Like he stays current no matter what project he dropped, even if it's like his least or his best. He always
Yeah.
has some hit on there that makes everybody like, okay,
Yeah.
you're bad. That's consistency. It is. I respect that. A lot of artists can't be consistent. It's hard because, I mean, I think about like I'm a huge metal fan as well too, and I think about how all the metal bands that go pop, and they definitely did around my era when I was coming up. How like My Chemical Romance not even like doing
Yeah.
anything close to hardcore.
Oh my gosh, what My Chemical Romance is doing now, I was like, is that even My Chemical Romance? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Like, and, Paramore's not a metal band, but like they even switched and Bring Me Horizon switched, and they were like one of my favorite post metal bands. And they just,
I guess it's just, it's like if you're more radio friendly, there's more money in it. So who knows the real reasons with all that? But yeah, it must be hard, like when you have so many people involved too, because at that point your team is huge and everyone's counting on you to make money to like feed all these people, and you're like, I guess I'll just go more mainstream. Like it makes sense, but it does suck.
Right. And like, do you feel because it does work out for other artists, I would say, but you don't expect it with certain genres. That's probably what it is. It's just a shock trauma that you like, you pop something in and you're ready to hear like screaming or something, and then they're just like doing like pop lyrics, and you're just like, wait a minute. But then there's also pop stars that go hardcore as well too. Like they switch up and everything. Like you're mostly like electronic now, right? But do you see yourself switching in the future?
Well, interesting question, because that's actually something I struggle with so much, because I feel like as an artist, as an individual, like by myself, I'm like an indie girl at heart, and I would make indie music. But in collaborative efforts, I lean way less indie, and I like way more music than just indie. So my point in saying all this is that in music that I'm going to be releasing in the future, you're going to hear like way more indie influence and stuff that leans less electronic. But I love pop and I love electronic music, so there's always going to be touches of that in my music. But yeah, I do see myself wandering into the indie pop world.
I think every musician and artist do that though, but it's always the timing if it becomes like a big career thing. Like, because honestly, at the end of the day, artists are just in love with music, and when you listen to their playlists, they're not just going to have like what they play, their genre on there. They're going to have so much other stuff. Like people look at my thing and they're just like, Jesus Christ, bro, you went from Nigeria all the way to the UK, and now you're back in America, and then you go to Latin America. Like it's like you get a tour, you get a tour with certain playlists, and I don't think it's anything wrong. I think it's just how the fans are going to feel and stuff like that. And then the fans, the real fans, have to accept that you can change, that you have different perspectives, which I can't with Paramore for some reason. I can't let them go. I want them to go back. But there's
I know. I feel you.
Kenny Williams, I want you to like do just one more alternative album, one more.
They might. You never know. They could.
Yeah. Sorry, I cleared my throat.
No, you're fine.
I have a little cold, guys. I apologize if I sound sick. Sorry about that. Were you going to say, Eva?
Oh, I was just gonna say, what you were saying, how the true fans like they grow with you or follow along, like as you change your style. I mean, I'm like loving on Drake too much in this episode of your podcast, but like that's how I feel about Drake, because he could go any direction, and just because I respect him so much, I'll be like, okay, why did he go there? If I don't like a song, I'm like, I'll listen again. Like, maybe I didn't get it. Like, I didn't get how he did it. It's like OD. I respect him so much that I even like try to listen to the ones I didn't like to understand. But
have you ever heard of any of his mixtapes, like Heartbreak Drake? Or
yeah, for sure.
oh shit, you a real Drake fan? Okay.
No, I really am.
Nobody knows about the Heartbreak Drakes. I love the Heartbreak Drakes. They're hard to find now. I'm trying to find them because they were mixtapes and stuff.
That's funny. So you're in love with the old, like when
Yes.
Drake was like really young. Yeah.
Mr. October very own Drake.
See, I miss when him and The Weeknd were boys and they were helping each other as they were coming up. Like, I would love if they collaborated now. Like, it would be unreal. It would be unreal.
Yeah, they're literally on top of the world, both of them. They're literally like big as hell. Like, The Weeknd cannot do anything wrong. He literally drops hits after hits.
Oh my god.
People compare him to Michael Jackson, which I don't think they should, but
there's no comparing. Honorable. But The Weeknd is amazing in his own right. He's sick. Right.
So besides The Weeknd and Drake, who else you want to do a feature with?
A feature? Who would I want? I don't know. Do you know who Upsall is?
Yes.
I think Upsall would be a cool feature.
That was one of my questions I was going to ask you because Upsall is I never knew who she was until my partner started listening to her.
Okay.
I didn't know who Blackberry was until my partner started listening to him too. Upsall is very, very interesting. Very interesting choices how she does things. I like try to analyze artists and stuff. Like, she seems different and unique, you know what I mean, from the average like pop star or something like that.
She's like, really, really talented. Like, yeah. I don't know if you've seen any of her YouTube videos at all, but she can play like hella instruments, and she came from a musical background, like her family. So I really respect her whole process. Like, she seems really cool.
Yeah, and that's freaking dope. And I get jealous because I'm like, I wish I was like a music prodigy, like Prince, and do a whole album with every instrument.
I know, right? That's what I respect so much about Tame Impala, because it's just one dude that writes everything, plays every instrument. It's like mind blowing to me that he can create amazingness from nothing. Like, it's so sick.
Yeah, so we're getting down to the wire here. I want to thank you so much for coming on. I think my last question is like, what is your writing process? Like, how do you get ready to prepare to write music and stuff? Do you have a ritual or anything?
Honestly, it all depends. It's usually pretty organic. Like, sometimes it's just me at the piano, and then I bring the idea to the producer that I work with, and then he'll like produce it out. Sometimes he's playing guitar, and then I start singing something to the guitar, or he makes a beat, and then I write to that, and then we change the beat a little bit. It really depends. So if I'm feeling really sad and emotional, most likely I'll be at the piano writing something sad. So if it's a sadder leaning song, then it was probably written at the piano. But if it's more fun, it was probably in the studio, just messing around with production, and I don't know, usually like freestyling till I like what I'm singing. So
yeah, that's a dope concept. I do that as well, the freestyling part, because you just end up like coming up with ideas. It's like, oh shit, that's dope. Write that down.
And usually your first inclination, especially melodically, is like the best one, because whatever came naturally to you is going to sound easy and natural, like on the song, and the listener will hear that too. So freestyling is a great way to find like the best melodies.
Yeah, I always tell rappers that, you know, when we talk about music, like young rappers, I always tell them like, yo, freestyle on these old beats, man. It's going to help you, like, with your flow and everything. Like, they're like, really? I should? Like, yes, you should. You should, because you get all these different varieties of flows. It helps.
Yeah.
people always talk about, oh, they're already using the same flow and stuff, but you notice the ones that don't, because that's what they did. They freestyle a lot of different shit. You mentioned the emotion part. That was the question I wanted to ask earlier, but you just reminded me, so that's great. So actually, this is the last question.
Okay, yeah.
So with emotion, a lot of people would tend to think that artists that write emotional music are depressed. And I always thought it was like both ways. Like I don't think Drake is depressed. I think that he can tap into that type of emotional state, which allows him to create good craft off of it. How do you feel about it? Do you think that most artists are depressed that make great depressing music?
At least to write sad music, you have to really. At least you felt really sad at one point that you can touch on it or think about that time. So I don't think most artists are depressed. I don't know. I can't speak for other artists. I think that most artists are probably empaths and feel more than others. Like I feel like creatives in general just are very in touch with their emotions and are super self-aware and stuff like that. So at least they're definitely more aware of emotion.
Right.
So they can communicate about it in a song.
And I think that's talented as well too. It kind of reminds me of like the craft of acting.
Yeah.
How they teach you to tap into certain things before you go on stage for certain scenes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's a skill. It really is a skill. And I think it encourages you as well too to be a better writer as well too, because it makes you more versatile. I don't know. Because you see all these memes from Drake. It's an instance. They're always like, "Yo, he's at home crying about some girl right now, calling her on the phone. She's not picking up because she's with Future." So, like, I saw some crazy status. They always get on him about being emotional.
Yeah.
Like, I hope he doesn't see this though, because I was Drake. I'd be like, "Yo, screw all of you." Like.
But also, he has so much going for him. He probably sees it and just thinks like, "I don't care. Talk about me. Like, who cares? Like, he's doing the best things." So, or maybe it does hurt him. I don't know. But I feel like he feeds into the memes. Like back when Hotline Bling, like the video came out and people were like making memes about his dancing. I feel like he feeds into it. Like he doesn't even care.
I love to see people dance like that and don't know how to dance. I love seeing that. Like that's the emotion that I want to give you. I want y'all to prove like that. That's so cool. Like, but he dances like a dad a little bit, and I thought it was adorable. I was like, okay.
But it's cool. He's not trying to be someone he's not. Like he leans into like how he dances. Like I don't know. I thought it was funny.
Right. All right. Well, Eva Grace, I don't want to take any more of your time. Thank you so much for coming on. And
thank you so much for having me. I'm glad we got to talk about Drake for an hour. That's what I love to do.
It's all right. You love Drake, and also like we had a really great conversation about just your craft and music in general, which is so dope. And I hope that you do so much well in the future, stuff like that. Like I like your music, and I think it's really, really dope. And tell Kenzie I said what up too. Wait, I don't even know if y'all like talk like that.
I don't know who that is.
Right? They'll just have the same publicist. That's all that is. All right.
Oh,
okay. Everybody, thank you so much for coming on and listening. And I hope everyone have a really good day. Eva, do you have any last words? I'd like to end with last words.
Thank you so much for listening. And if you ever want to ask me any questions or talk about music or Drake, just hit me up on Instagram. You can find me on any social media. I'm Eva Grace, the letters I-M, and then Eva Grace. And if you made it this far, thank you so much. And thank you, Jamar, for having me.
Yeah. And have a good night. And good night, everybody.
Blank period, on my black, brown, and indigenous. Gotta holla if you really feeling this. Gotta holla if you really real enough. Other rappers is delirious. Yeah, it's really that serious. Better holler if you really feeling me. I gotta keep it 100, ayy. If you don't like it, then fuck it, ayy. We gonna win in the end, yeah, we gonna live in abundance. I gotta keep it 100, ayy. If you don't like it, then fuck it, ayy. We gonna win in the end, yeah, we gonna. I gotta keep it 100. We gotta stop all the stunting. You know we coming from nothing. Yo, you talking about money, you bluffing. We gotta do something different. We gotta change how we live in. We gotta do better for women. We gotta do better for children. We gotta listen to victims, whether Jewish or Muslim or Christian. It doesn't matter your religion. You gotta stand against the system, or else you just another villain.